Hey guys, it's Hegemony here, and I'm going to teach you how I make currency, especially at the beginning of a league or in a brand new, uh, 4 month, or you can even do it in a permanent league. I mean, this method it works throughout any kind of league, domination, hardcore, softcore. It's a method I've used and Ox uses to earn currency with just transmutes and augments. So I'm going to teach you how to convert these into chaos and even exalts. So basically what this is going to require is that you actually invest in some stash tab so that you can have stash space to hoard a bunch of different flasks that are so prevalent everywhere. Um, you notice I have uh, three tabs dedicated just to just health flasks, and then I have two for mana, and I have a bunch more for other shit that I haven't really posted yet because I'm waiting until the profit margin is at its peak, and that will be when PvP comes out, because these flasks are going to be very, very, very sought out for. Right now, people use it to switch for bosses. Fire and Topaz are the most popular, but I'm going to go through my process and what to look for, how to roll it, and how to re-roll it, and what to collect. So I'm going to pull all these. It can be blue or white. It doesn't matter. It's all going to end up the same way. I mean, ideally it's white so you have more chances, and you'll understand what I mean by more chances as you see me go through this process. Keep in mind that this process is not, or this method of currency generating is not super effective if everybody does this. Like, if everybody does this, then it'd become less effective. But for right now, I'm not really in need of much currency. As you can see, I have 52 exalts and a bunch of chaos, and I got plenty of other shit to, fulfill any of my needs. So I am revealing, I guess, my, tips and tricks of, low level, just starting out, how I can generate some more chaos orbs. So I pick up all these flasks and then I transmute them, right? And these are very, very prevalent in whatever zones. If you're just leveling up in Merciless, I think you can start getting them in Ledge, no problems. And then I look at the mods, and so understanding which flasks are worth a damn and which ones are not is kind of huge. So I'm going to go over mods that people actually look for and what to look for in stats for suffixes and prefixes. So let's go through these. Fuck.
Hello.
I need to go to a vendor.
Come over here.
So as you know, five of a kind will automatically re-roll it, whether it's rare, um, blue, not unique, obviously. So this is a pretty garbage roll. You generally do not want anything like for a mana flask or a health flask. I'm talking specifically about health flask. The status effects like evasion, armor, stun recovery, those are not very good because they're finished. Like, they complete its duration whenever you're at full HP. So while this says 78% evasion rating and it says over 8 seconds, it's actually going to give you 78% over however many seconds it takes you to get full. If it's a split second, you're only going to get a split second of 78% evasion. So this is important to note that um, status effects that have like a duration um, on a health flask are not very good. So something you want on a health flask are something that's instantaneous benefit, like a clear burn, clear freeze, clear shock, clear bleed. Those are the most popular health flasks. So I'm gonna go ahead, and since this is a very low percentage anyways, I'm just gonna dumpster this. Like, this is gonna be a part of the 5 of a kind recipe. Mana leech, life leech, those aren't really sought out for either. So just don't. It's not even worth augmenting. When I see a stat that's worth augmenting, catalyze is okay. Catalyze, people actually look for that shit. Burning charge recovery. Charge recovery runs from 20 to 40%. If you get something that's 38, it's worth augmenting to see what you can get, but really, it's not really sought out for unless it's near perfect. 50% recovery speed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to augment this. Dispel shock. Eh, probably won't sell. I was looking more for either staunching or animation or something like that. The recovery speed, as you can see, is 5.3 seconds, so it heals up quicker. So a lot of people will like to use catalyze as staunching to combat the dot. Uh, you'll get more heal instead of a heal. So if you use it preemptively, it'll actually heal you more than a seething. People like seething a lot because you get that instant response to any like oh shit moment. You're gonna get that extra time to log out or whatever you choose to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep that one. Bubbling is the second best thing, instant flask, next to seething. So you want to consider bubbling of burning. It's not so popular. I probably can't sell this. People probably not looking for it, so I'm going to vendor it. Here we have sapping. Sapping is a very, very good health flask because it does the most amount of healing, and because it's 1600 or 1500 plus healing with quality, it's a lot more. Over 8 seconds, it's actually acting like a lot like catalyze because it's got to fit much more HP regen in the same amount of time, so it's going to be healing faster per second. So this has no drawback if you're a blood magic user. So a lot of blood magic or people with a lot of HP that just want to heal and not have to wait on regen or leech or something like that. So sapping and seething are by far the most popular mods to have as a prefix on a health flask. This one has 80% evasion. It's dumpster. Had this had remove puncture, remove freeze, shock, it would have sold like very, very quick. So I'm gonna go ahead and vendor that. 5 of a kind gives you a new unidentified, and I'll just leave it like that for now.
You looking sharp?
We'll look at panic. Panic is kind of it's like iffy. It's not really sought out for, but it is useful at times. This rolled armor is dumpster. 97% evasion, increased recovery when on low life. 90. I generally would keep something that was 99% or higher evasion or armor on a health flask if it was like sapping or something that had a good prefix. But increased recovery on low life, it's alright, not so great. Gonna go ahead and vendor it. It's 97%, not worth it. This is never gonna sell. Alright, so sapping, I got a good prefix. I'm gonna augment it. Dispelled shocked. Now we got a winner. This flask I would sell for two chaos. Most flasks I sell for 2 chaos, and if it's like seething of staunching, which is by far highest in demand flask in Nemesis, I sell those for 3 to 4 chaos. Ox sells them for 4. He says, yeah, they pretty much sell like hotcakes. Everybody wants seething of staunching. Um, this one is dumpster. This one only lasts, so even the suffix, you got to look at the time that the duration of the flask. It says 3.4 seconds. So even the suffix is pretty damn worthless because it's such a short duration. Dispel shocked, complete dumpster. Just gonna go through and do all my flasks like this. Okay, so bubbling of staunching. This one I would sell for 2 chaos. While it's not as good as seething, it does 50% upfront and then gives you more over time after. So total healing done will be more than seething, but It's not all upfront and instant. So you still want to keep this. This would be an easy 2 chaos cell. This one is a 2 chaos cell. Um, movement speed. Movement speed is kind of popular. If you can get the 29-30% suffix movement speeds, you're in good shape of selling it. A lot of people will like to run these for like leveling up. It's not really an end game mapping flask. It's pretty trash. 80% evasion dumpster. Saturated. Now saturated is an interesting stat because while it increases the amount recovered, it reduces the speed. So therefore the effect lasts longer. As you notice, it says 11.9 seconds. 11.9 seconds is like the longest you're gonna get on a health flask. You don't want slow. Well, I mean it depends on your playstyle, but the most for the most part, it's not a desired health flask, but it's the most sought out for mana flask. So saturated and seething, bubbling mana flask are very popular because you want, as a mana flask, you want that slow regen so that you don't get topped, so that you're able to spend and keep generating. So like on a no regen map, you're getting while you're gaining mana, like this 1500 mana, you're also spending it. So the flask naturally will last longer. You'll get more mana than just giving you something that'll fill up quick and then you're like spent again. You know, it's gonna start and end very quickly. But if you're using a saturated mana flask, you're gonna be attacking with it, and you know whatever status effect, whether it be mana leech, life leech, you know, it's gonna last longer. So you're gonna get more mana out of it in the long run. Health flask, maybe if you're running some kind of weird massive health pool, you lose a lot and you want curse immunity, like you're taking a consistent amount of damage to where you're never topped off, then having like saturated of warding would be awesome because you'd have like 12 seconds plus of uh, curse immunity. Like fighting, okay, so prime example is if you're going to take pretty consistent damage with the Krima boss or the fire dogs and cells, something like that might be, but it's just generally not worth the time. Worth the inventory space and such. Also, if you do 3 of a kind, it gives you the upgrade, but we're not interested in that. This is dumpster. So Avengers is the one of the best PvP um, and tanking flasks. They fill up very quick in PvP. A lot of people crit. I guess it also depends on which league and what PvP scene there is. But Avengers is very sought out for melee or PvP flask. Increased recovery on low life, cautious. I have never really sold a cautious flask, so I just re-roll them. Stun recovery is a good flask, but you generally want, you know, something like 57 plus. This is perfect charge recovery in 56, so I'm going to go ahead and keep that. So anybody that doesn't really have uh, or unwavering stance while they pop this pot, they'll have a good amount of stun recovery to get out whatever, like Igna Phoenix Firestorm or Krima Boss Firestorm. Stun recovery is a nice thing to have. But it has to be high percentages because it goes to 40 to 60, the bracket. So I'm going to go ahead and keep that. It's very rare to get 40% perfect charge recovery, by the way. This is Panic. The movement speed is Dumpster. Dumpster. Knockback is always Dumpster. Removes bleeding. So I'm praying that I get... Oh, this is a fucking giant life flask. Oh, man. It's a seething... Oh, so if this was a hallowed flask, it would be worth, you know, 3 to 4 chaos. Alright, so I'm going to identify these. Panicked. Let's go ahead and with that. I got 5 of a kind again. Going to recycle that. So usually when you watch my stream, I'm all about recycling shit and getting more rolls possible. Alright, so I have 4 flasks that I have that are worth keeping. I'm gonna keep this one for my alt,
Stay out of the shadows.
or my new main, I should say. Okay. So now that you know the recipe, you know why I keep these potions around and why I pick them up. I mean, you can get anywhere from like 1 to 7 of them in a map, especially if you're running a 6-player map where people don't really pick them up. Um, yeah, so it's just really, really good source. Let's just go through some of the ones that I've saved. All these holes are the ones that I've sold, and I'll just talk about the affixes and why people would keep, or which ones would sell, how much I would sell it for. This one, it would be something like for a PvP match, um, to dispel Tempest Shield Shock. That's a very common thing. So Avengers of Grounding, I'd probably sell 2 Chaos. 2. This one I would sell for 3. So for quality, so say you pick up a hallowed flask of quality, so every 8 baubles, which is 16% total on a blue flask, is generally a chaos equivalent. So if it's 12, or if it's half of it, if it's 8%, that's 4 baubles worth of, so I'll charge an extra alk or scour or something added on to the flask itself. And if it just dumpsters, I just put it in the bauble stash and I just consolidate those and sell them into the bauble recipe. Okay, so let's go through some of these. Stun recovery panicked. Usually when you're trying to stun recover, you've already taken a substantial amount of damage, so this is nice. 59%. Sapping removes chill, shock. Okay, so some of the most popular in-demand flask right now these days are Seething of Animation. Animation flasks, Catalyzed prefix, Seething prefix, Sapping prefix. Those are very, very, very popular. Anything that's 48% plus will sell so fast. Let's see, what else do I have over here? Okay, so let's say you run into something like this. Probably sell. It's perfect armor. A granite with like surgeons or avengers with perfect armor would sell for 1 exalt easily. 100% armor is such an insanely hard suffix to get, let alone the prefix that you want. We'll look at. So I keep these around. I don't have any armor flask, so this is a pretty good one. Avengers of Iron Skin. This is kind of like doubles up your armor, and for the Jade Flask you want a suffix for evasion, and either Avengers or crit or ample. So if you had an ample that was 20 charges, which is a random between 10 and 20, it would be worth an exalt if it was ample 20 and armor 100%. So you can see how crazy, it's so insanely hard to roll. Like as far as what do you call it, resistance flask, um, warding and avengers are probably the most popular for PvP. For bosses, it can vary. A lot of people will like life leech on a warding on a, what do you call it, resistance flask, because while they're taking a lot of fire damage from like Krima boss, they're leeching better. And what's nice about any kind of status flask like resistance or armor or evasion is that you're gonna get the full effect, the full duration of its suffix. So you want your armor, your stun recovery flask, um, your wardings to be on flasks that are gonna last the full duration. So the full duration is gonna be on sprint flask, which is 5 seconds, which is much more when it's qualityed. I think it's like 6 seconds or something. Um, but yeah, resistance flasks don't last as long as um, Quicksilver flask. So notice it says 3.5 versus 5. So when you make these decisions of where you want your warding to be, more than likely it'll be on your granite or your Quicksilver flask. You don't want something like puncture or an instant on a granite or a resistance flask, because more than likely you're wasting it. Uh, yeah, because you're guaranteed to get the duration of what it says, instead of using a mana flask where as soon as you top off it's over, or a health flask and it's over. Sanctified is one of those things where, yeah, I do sell it sometimes. These are pretty hard to sell overall. They're more quicker, but the reason why a lot of people don't want them is because it's limited to charges. So you see where it says consumes 15 out of 30 charges. That means you get 2 uses when it's fully full, and a hallowed flask you get 3 because it's 10 out of 30. So when you get ample of hallowed, you can actually use it plus 20. That's 5 times in one flask. So you could have ample of staunching, and you could clear puncture 5 times without killing anything, and getting any charge back. So that's why a lot of people like hallowed flasks, just because you can use them more frequently. However, these are more potent healing per second, so they do sell sometimes. So I used to keep a lot. I kind of like, as I've been selling them, just not re-rolling them. But in a new league, it's gonna sell much easier, or a 1 week or whatever. People need flasks to live, and a lot of people will pay a little bit more or a lot more to have a perfect flask, so that because they know that they'll never have to replace it. So yeah. So as you can see, the same ideas are this for prefix and suffix are the same for sanctified. Um, yeah, there's not anything like, I don't keep stuff that's elemental resistance, sapping. It's perfect, so I kept it. Um, but it's got a higher standard. If you're just gonna have a status or a status suffix like armor, evasion, or warding, it's gotta be perfect, or close to perfect, or near perfect. But go ahead and understand that animation flask, depending upon the role, can sell from 2 to 10 chaos. Staunchings can sell from 3 to 4, if they're instant or catalyze or something good. And then most of the other flasks just sell for 2 chaos, easy, quick and easy. And then as far as resistance flasks, these will go up big time in price when PvP starts. But generally speaking, I won't sell a resistance flask with useful rolls less than 4 chaos. So it'll range from 4 to an exalt, depending upon what it does and what the roll is. Um, that concludes this video of how to make currency with just transmutations and augmentations. And this applies to any league. You guys will notice all the time, when I'm playing the game, people are requesting flask, and it's because I have such a abundant inventory of them that I can just easily trade this and get chaos out of it. So if you're struggling getting cash or getting your bankroll going, there's other videos that I'll make that will tell you how to multiply this chaos into bigger currencies. But that should get you started out, and rolling. Thank you guys for watching, and hit the subscribe button.